now. Daniel Ramsey here with MyOutDesk. I also am really excited because I have Patrick Ferry here, who has trained, I don't know, thousands of real estate agents on how to do prospecting. And so we're just really excited to chat, and we're kind of talking about some of the challenges we have in the industry. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right, Patrick?
Yes. So the big challenge that we're seeing right now is, I have trained thousands and thousands of salespeople first on prospecting for generating new leads. I've trained thousands of real estate agents on prospecting for generating new leads. And what we keep finding over and over again is the average, let's just say, real estate agent, either A, they're too busy to do the prospecting, B, sometimes it's not their highest and best use, just because they really should just be going on a lot more appointments and they want to be a business builder. And C, it's a pain in the butt. And so one of the things that I've seen over the years, over my 12 years, is I've seen a lot of agents, top agents, high performers, say to me, all right, I'm just going to hire someone to come into my office. I'm going to sit them down next to me and have them start prospecting with me. I'll teach them how to prospect, and then I'll get them to generate the leads and the appointments for me, and everything will be hunky-dory. Well, I'll just be honest, over my 12 years of experience, very, very few people have been able to pull that off, because they're top performers, they're high D, when they get on the phone, they produce extraordinary results. But for them to have the patience to sit and to train someone, in their office is just, most of the time it just doesn't make sense. And the other thing too is, I've run a sales floor of, anywhere between 20 and 30 people, in-house telemarketers, calling from 8 o'clock in the morning till 4:30 in the afternoon. And I just got to admit, finding someone who is a quality person that I want sitting next to me in my office for that wage, it just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I was super excited to hear, Daniel, kind of what's been happening with some of the requests with your company, and what I'm hearing from you regarding some of the top agents and some of the big teams on what they're doing with you. So tell us a little bit about what you're experiencing on your end from the demand from the real estate community.
Well, it's interesting. I was going to talk about one thing. I've met a ton of agents who have hired an ISA in-house and then spent the time and energy to train this person, and then that person realizes how valuable they are, and they're like, I'm out of here. I'm going to get my license and I'm going to go do it myself.
Exactly.
And I've heard that so many times. And so the challenge is a prospector, you've got two types of prospectors, right? You've got the hunters, the guys who go after it and they're blah, 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 blah. And then you have the farmers. Like, they're the cultivating leads over time. And depending the type of lead source, if you go out and you hire a physical person who's a high D, and once you've trained them and taught them the business, and a year goes by or a year and a half, that person just says, well, I don't need this other guy anymore. I can just prospect for myself and get the whole check. So what's cool about hiring and what's really cool about hiring a virtual assistant is that you can hire a high D personality, somebody who's smart, strong on the phones, is a hunter, and they're never going to come and take your business because they're across the world. And so I think there's a new trend. And the other thing is, you can hire 3 of our virtual assistants for the same price it costs to have one in-house virtual assistant because of the price point. So, the average cost in the U.S. is $29 for a physical employee. That's the average. Expensive people, the cheap people, that's the average. Well, we charge $9.60. So literally 3 people for the price of one. So that's one thing. And to speak to your demand, and Patrick, this is kind of a shaker for us. About 4 months ago, the demand for ISA virtual assistants overtook the demand for the administrative side and the marketing side. So we typically do 3 things. We help people with administrative stuff, marketing stuff, and sales support, prospecting virtual assistants. And for many, many years, the virtual ISA virtual assistants was a third, and it was a third. Just recently this year, it's now ISAs are 60% of our business.
Yeah. It makes a lot. It just makes a lot of sense, from my perspective as a coach and as a trainer. Also, what I'm seeing, there's so many leads actually available to us, from whether or not it's prospecting, whether or not it's our past clients in Sphere, whether or not it's around the listing or sale, whether or not it's some of the big internet systems that are generating tremendous amounts of leads. The truth is we, as a top producer, we just don't have the time to be either A, nurturing, or B, really digging in and spending the time to dial 200 phone numbers and spend 3 hours of my time trying to captivate and try and find 1 or 2 good appointments out of that. So the truth is there's really an overabundance of leads and opportunities, and it just makes sense. And I didn't, for me, once I met you, when I was really looking at this whole, virtual assistant model, then I met you. It really hit me hard once I hired one, and now I have one, and I went, wait a minute, this just makes sense.
Right.
She's super grateful, super polite, speaks really clearly, good connection. It's absolutely a slam dunk to have her make some phone calls. I've had her make a bunch of phone calls for me, set up appointments, and it just makes a lot of sense. I mean, at $9.60 an hour, that is a slam dunk.
Well, and
so,
what's crazy too is, I mean, we're starting to get in. Okay, so you made the decision, like, I'm ready. I need somebody on my phones. I need to have some help prospecting. Now, our biggest challenge as a sales organization, like, we're helping people find virtual assistants. Our biggest challenge is who's going to train them, and how's that going to work, and how much time does it take? So I want you to kind of speak a little bit to that, because I think we've got a good solution now.
Yeah, and I'm excited, because that's what really sparked me was when I met you, hired one of these virtual assistants. It just hit me like a ton of bricks. If I could just take all my wealth of knowledge and experience in the area of prospecting and lead generation and phone skills and lead conversion, if I could just take all those skills and we can deliver that to a virtual assistant, someone who is excited about making these calls, someone who is really eager to do the work, and someone who's going to show up on time, who's going to put in some good work ethic and be grateful for it. I mean, it's just a slam dunk. That just makes all the sense in the world to me, and it makes a lot of sense to a lot of the top producers out there right now who are thinking the same thing. How do we get someone inexpensively on our team, get them trained to be able to fulfill on all the lead sources that we have available? So, I've already started designing, here's the training program, that I've taken agents through and design them for a virtual assistant to start getting on the phone and become super effective and start to generate leads and appointments for a real estate agent. That training program is set. So Daniel, I wanted to introduce you to, there's a lot of great friends of mine and great top producers who have not really met you, not really met, MyOutDesk, and an experienced, virtual assistant from you. And I'm telling them that they need to hire one of your virtual assistants immediately so that I can teach them how to prospect and so that they can have a great prospector. But I really want to just take an opportunity for you to kind of share with what you've been doing and how you get great virtual assistants, how you scrub them, do all the great things that you do, and share with them some of the services that you do after like I know for me, after I hired one of my virtual assistants, having the coach. And so when I talked to my virtual assistant and said, hey, I need you to get into my Google Drive, and she couldn't get into my Google Drive. Well, she went to her coach. The coach figured it out, and just share with them a little bit about the structure that you've created, and you've got an amazing organization. So let's hear it.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for saying that. So we have 700 virtual assistants, and actually I'm hoping in a couple days to get the month-end report where it says we're above 800. And we really focus on 3 different areas. One is the ISA model, which was what you and I are working on, right? And then the next is marketing. So if you're a top producing agent, you have a team, and you do a ton of marketing, well, we have people that'll help run that for you. And it's a ton of work. I mean, we all know making flyers, posting stuff on social media, getting emails sent out, generating leads. This is a lot of work, and so we have marketing people who do that, and then we had just the standard administrative assistant kind of roles, which is like transaction coordination and listing coordination and database mining and throwing people in and just pure administrative work. And so we have those three roles, and we've been really successful over the last 6 years. So we just turned 6 years old, which is a cool milestone for us. We're by far the monster in the room, and I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying, is like what's our process and what's our screening. So we only hire 2% of the people who apply. So last month, for instance, we had 4,000 people apply to work for us, and we literally have a team of 12 individuals who all they do is screen and do interviews all day long and process resumes and do skills tests, and we're just making sure these people are great. And then what we do is we put them through a 2-week audition. So when we first started, we didn't understand the power of an audition, and now we do. And what that audition looks like, it's like a boot camp for real estate. Like, what's real estate? How do you use Top Producer? What does an MLS look like? What does a contract look like? What's title insurance? And we just give them projects, and we give them homework, and we make them do writing assignments, and then we benchmark them across the board. So everybody is rated based on how everybody else did previously, and anybody who isn't great, we don't endorse to our clients. So we're doing FBI background checks, we're doing reference checks, we're calling their school and making sure they went to the college they said they did. I mean, we're just doing a ton of checks. I mean, computer systems. We verify that they have a brand new computer, that they're working from a fast internet speed connection, and that they have an area in their house that that they can actually do work, like shut the door and get work done. So, I mean, we're doing a lot of checks. Does that answer your question?
That's huge. Yeah, no, that's because I think that's probably the big concern with everybody when they first think about hiring a virtual assistant is, what's the quality of what I'm going to get, and how do I guarantee that quality? Because someone can easily tell me that they are great, and they can, come up with some cool resume that, causes me to want to hire them, but in the end, who knows what I'm going to get? So that's cool. So tell them about the interview process too, because I just recently went, interviewed a couple more. And that was really cool to just be able to pick which one I liked and do a little interview.
Yeah, so we do. I mean, all that screening happens before the client ever does anything. So one of the values that we have is that we want to do all the work up front for our clients, and that way we just we're giving quality people for you to interview. And so you get a job description, you get a personality profile, you see what their internet speed is, you understand the classes they took. If they're a prospecting virtual assistant, then they do certain classes. If they're an administrative person or a marketing, they do certain classes. So you get a kind of a list of everything that's done, and then you actually get to do a face-to-face interview. And if you're thinking about hiring somebody for your team, we want you to thoroughly interview these people and screen them for your team, because this is your business. It's important for you to hire the right personality, the right previous experience, the right, I guess, drive and energy that is important for your team. And so we it's part of our gig to give you as much information up front, and then you do a face-to-face so you can kind of get a sense of who it is you're hiring. And then, if we'll give you 3 or 4, and if you don't, and then you can narrow it down to 1 or 2, and if you don't like those 2, we'll give you another 3 or 4. And it's literally, you sign up, the next day we have applicants to you, the next day you can do your interview, and you can literally, within 3 to 4 days, have a virtual assistant working on your team.
Nice. And that process, I know, going through it for myself, it was a fantastic process, and I really appreciated the effort. I could tell what the effort is that you guys put into that process. Tell them about the coach, because to me that coach feature is also really the difference that makes the difference here.
Yeah. And I'm a big fan of people need support, and you know, when you're a new person, and here's the thing, everybody would like to have somebody who's a real estate trained, you know, they've got 10 years of experience and they know what they're doing, and you don't have to do it. But our people are typically they have some experience in a U.S. based corporation like Direct TV or J.P. Morgan Chase, or you know, they're all over. All the large IBM, all the large internationals are over in the Philippines, and that's where we're getting these folks. So most of our people have gone through like an American company in the past. So you're getting people with experience, but you're not getting people with experience in like real estate. So real estate is a different level of experience, and so we understand that there needs to be some support when we give a client one of our virtual assistants. I mean, you know, just the difference of having what we call them subject matter experts. So Patrick was talking about his Gmail account, and like there was some problem, blah blah blah. The reality is we have 800 folks. So when a coach says, I don't know how to do this, they go to what we call SME experts, subject matter experts. And that subject matter experts, they know how to use that system perfectly. Or like we call them super users. You know, so whether you're using, I don't know, Top Producer, whether you're using Boomtown to generate leads, or Commissions Inc., or any of the other platforms, Brevity for listing coordination and marketing, whatever system you're using, we have an SME and a coach that is dedicated to that system. And so when your virtual assistant has a question, you know, they have some resources, you know, that isn't your time in your office. I mean, imagine you're an agent, you're closing a lot of transactions, your time is valuable. Hey boss, how do I get Top Producer to do this? Well, that's not an effective use of your time. So we have people that they can ask. We're doing like there's a coach for the virtual assistant, there's a coach for the client, and then there's an operations manager who oversees those two coaches. So literally when you hire us, you're hiring 3 support people for every 1 client, and that's a big deal.
Wow. Yeah, I think that's the difference that makes a difference. And so, you know, share with me, you know, for those that haven't seen some of the videos and the interviews that are already out there, can you share what some of the success that you've seen already with some of the top producing agents who have hired a salesperson or a prospector? You know, give me some of the examples of what you've already seen in the industry right now from these prospectors.
Sure. I mean, I can think of a couple off the top of my head that are doing so well. I mean, like, it boggles my mind how well they're doing. We have one guy in Omaha. He's having his virtual assistant call 1,000 leads per day. And you know, they're consistently highlighting or converting anywhere from 10 to 20 possible appointments per day. And so that's a big number. And then I know of a Florida agent who they focus on seller side stuff, and so the virtual assistant, like, their biggest day set 11 seller side appointments. So when you
Wow.
when you think about all the possibilities, and obviously I'm on here telling you about the people who are like up here and excelling, the people I look up to because they've created fabulous businesses utilizing our people. Those are the, and then we have everybody in between, the people who are solids, who are doing, 2 to 3 to 5 appointments a day, to the people who, on our team who just didn't get the right training or didn't get the right support, or they're not the right people, or there's not enough leads getting generated that eventually, just they don't work out. So,
Yeah.
And that happens, guys. If you're listening to this and saying, "Oh, this is the silver bullet," it's just not the case. It takes effort and energy, and that's why Patrick and I are here talking about, this program that he's creating, because I identify it as really a big need for our company is to provide that coaching and support and training and that piece, because that's the biggest reason that we have, failure. When a virtual assistant doesn't work out for a team, it's just because the leader of that team didn't have time or energy or effort to put into that virtual assistant. So, we get the gamut, man. I'm completely humbled by the 200 to 300 virtual assistants that we have right now, setting appointments for our clients.
Yeah, and doing the prospecting. Yeah, I got really inspired when I watched one of the videos that, it was with Christina Benega, and,
Yeah.
she spent a bunch of time training her virtual assistant, and now that virtual assistant is generating great leads and great appointments. I listened to the Bill Jenkins video where he was talking about that he spent 6 months training his virtual assistant. He's a coach, so that helps. But how that virtual assistant is just generating lead after lead. I think it was like 40 leads a month. And then Bill's getting on the line and converting that lead into an appointment. That's just extraordinary.
Yeah.
I mean, the opportunity, in my opinion, is just so exciting.
Well, we have this one client. He literally has 4 virtual assistants on the phone at all time, just prospecting out. And that particular client downloaded something like 300,000 numbers so far this year, as of like last month. And the virtual assistants are just burning through them because, and you know, it's no rocket science. They're just doing circle prospecting in the neighborhood that this guy wants to kind of own. And so the question that they listen to this is how simple the question is. Hi, this is Daniel from Ramsey Real Estate. That's my brokerage. I'm calling today because your neighbor just sold their house for $400,000 or $450, and we just can't find enough houses for our buyers, and we're wondering who you know that would be interested in selling or buying a house right now. And I think it's so freaking simple, and they just burn through that script at like 100 million times a freaking month. So
yeah, that's it, and that brings up such a good point, because the truth is, that's like something that my father taught, in 1970.
Yeah.
That super simple script, but the reality is, I don't know any one agent who's willing to do that work today.
No.
But we all know that if it was done, and if it was done in high numbers and in high volume, it would generate a tremendous amount of great leads and opportunities for us. So it's just the biggest slam dunk in the history of slam dunk.
Yeah.
So, Daniel, I'd like to take a second and just share, what I've designed, with your help and, with some great coaching and guidance from some other people. So I really looked at, okay, what is this model, because I first tried to actually, and I wanted to experiment. So when I first experimented with you with some virtual assistants, I tried to teach them how to set an appointment like a real estate agent.
Right.
And I realized that's absolutely not the approach. And through some coaching and some exposure with your group, as well as talking to one of my great mentors, Monica Reynolds, we really came up with actually a strategy of just identifying leads and really doing a great job of developing just nurture opportunities for seller leads and passing those on to the agent. And I think I watched one of your videos with, I think it was Tim Heil's team, where the virtual assistant is passing it on to an ISA, and then the ISA is setting the appointment. But I think that's the model for the training for the virtual assistant, is first just get them on the phone, representing you well, with a good script that's very customer service oriented. It's not, they're not trying to close anyone for an appointment. They're not trying to handle objections. They're just prospecting a ton, identifying people who are interested, and passing them along to the real estate agent. And then the real estate agent's job is to then call, connect, qualify more, and to convert. So I think, so I designed, a training program really around that model, where with that model, we can get a virtual assistant to, call the neighbors of your listing, and we can call of the just listed, we can call and invite them to the open house, we can call and invite them after you get multiple offers, and we've got, you have 3 or 4 buyers right now who are ready to buy in the neighborhood, we can call the neighbors for that reason. And then after you sell it, getting those neighbors again. There's also, all the people in your center of influence. So, and this is where an interesting one, Monica and I really looked at, okay, and you brought this up right away, Daniel, is I'm not sure that I want to have, if I'm a top producer, have a virtual assistant calling my database or calling my past clients. So one of the things I really looked at is, how do we make this an amazing customer service call? that it's a branding and customer service call, really. And they're just setting it up just to, hey, Daniel, it's Patrick from, so-and-so's real estate company, and we just wanted to check in and see if there's anything that we can be doing for you at this time, right? Just a customer service call. Then asking for a referral. And so we're excited to see, because I know all the top producing agents out there have huge databases that are not getting touched, and they're not hearing from anyone. So imagine just an amazing customer service call to the database that's not trying to really do anything other than just be there. And the branding, the recognition, and getting the referral is going to be huge. On top of those two strategies, really, I think the for sale by owner is a hot opportunity right now in the marketplace. And for the average real estate agent, calling the FSBOs and tracking them down is a pain in the butt. So I've worked on a script that literally just calls them, identifies them, and then passes them on to the agent, so that we can get that virtual assistant connecting, you, the top producer, with that FSBO in a seamless manner, so that you're not spending the time prospecting, tracking them down. You're just getting handed the lead, and then you convert that FSBO. That is going to be a slam dunk for right now in this marketplace. And then finally, the training was designed around let's say the old expireds, doing that same thing, just finding them, identifying them, and passing them along. Same thing with the new expireds. The one thing I know about the new expireds, because I've trained thousands of agents on it, it really comes down to who can either get the best phone number, which is great. I've heard some of the virtual assistants doing some research and finding better quality phone numbers with the Land Voice, the Vulcan, and with all the great services, finding better numbers. That's one huge advantage. But B is really just being consistent. That's really the deal breaker with an expired. If you just show up on time every day with the expireds, I don't care if you have one new one a day or if you have 30 new a day in your marketplace, the person that is consistent is going to win the game at the end of the month. So this virtual assistant who can just be that consistent contactor for you with those expireds, it's just a slam dunk. And they're not trying to set an appointment. They're not trying to handle objections. I've designed the training so we can work on some of the objections, but really it's just identify, hand deliver. Identify, hand deliver. So I am excited. On top of really all of that strategy, the thing that I realized the most is where I've had the most success with a prospector is in really developing their prospecting skills, their communication skills, right? Their engagement skills, how they're asking the questions, how their tonality, their body language, their energy, their enthusiasm, their ability to identify personality styles, a fast talker, super aggressive, someone who's a lot softer, and someone who's a lot sweeter. And just, it's really those skills that are the difference that makes the difference. And the scripts are pretty easy to come by today. I know I'm an expert in that category, so it's going to be fun to produce extraordinary results. But it's really inside that skill conversation. If I can give those prospectors these skills that I've identified, that the top prospectors in the world, they have these skills, and we can deliver that to your virtual assistant, I know the results are just going to be off the charts. So what I've designed, Daniel, to help these agents with this virtual assistant, I've designed a training program that is, I'm going to spend 2 hours with them Monday through Friday, and I'm going to be working on the scripts, taking them line by line through the scripts and critiquing them and supporting them. I'm going to be teaching them the prospecting and communication skills so that they actually become super confident, really engaging, and represent us well, which is critical. And then I designed really what I think is the most important inside this training program is accountability. Is to really, I'm going to track the numbers for the agent. So if the agent isn't tracking the numbers, I'll be tracking the numbers and delivering those numbers to the agents. And then what I'm going to be doing is creating some competition with all of the virtual assistants who are in the training program, and acknowledging those that are doing well as sharing some of the recorded calls back with some of the other agents who really are maybe struggling a little bit and need to hear some examples and some live examples of that. So on top of the accountability plus the competition plus the getting some access to listening some of the top producers, I'm also going to have these virtual assistants spending time role-playing with each other live on the call, and then I'll be doing critiques. So they're going to get literally live critiques from me while they're role-playing with other virtual assistants, and then I'll be giving them assignments and put them into a community of other virtual assistants so that they can be practicing and role-playing with all of the other virtual assistants at the same time. So that really, in the end, we're going to teach them all of the most important lead generation systems, teach and get them proficient with those, and with the scripts. On top of that, all of the skills that really make the difference to be able to call an old expired who might be a little frustrated or might be a total driver and has probably run over every other agent and everybody else that's called, to be able to convert that driver, I don't care who the personality, right? To be able to do that, but then give them the accountability, give them the community, give them the direct coaching. So I'm super excited because I know if one of the top producers out there, hires you and gets one of these virtual assistants that is pre-screened, they put the final stamp of approval, and then they put them in with me in this program, man, there's no question that this is going to be extraordinary.
Well, and you're gonna limit the amount of people that you put through this class, right? I mean, you're not going to open this up to everybody. You're actually this is like this is a testimonial run, and so we're only going to limit it to what'd you say, 20 people?
Yeah, it's got to be less than 50. Really, I'm looking at 25 to 30 is probably the ideal group. So that's really what we're looking at right now for the first run as we get this thing. So for these people, for the virtual assistant, they're going to literally have me for 2 hours live and interactive, which, let's be honest, if I was charging any real estate agent that fee, it would be astronomical.
Right.
I do live coaching for a company. I go in for 1 hour a week, and I charge them $2,000 a month. So, for the virtual assistant who's going to spend 2 hours a day with me, the fee is actually nominal. And the reason why I'm doing that, Daniel, is just because I believe this is going to be a very revolutionary aspect to the real estate agent's business.
Right.
So I know I'm willing time and effort up front to make sure extraordinary results in the industry, and that this becomes really, that every top producing agent has a virtual assistant prospecting them for them consistently.
How long
I believe that is something that. So the time frame is going to be. I really looked at this. I looked at, okay, if I take them through 1 week on each lead source, each script, really I got to go through 6 weeks of training with these guys. But then I started to realize that's just not enough, because I'm going to spend 1 week with them on database, past client center of influence, and that customer service call. And the truth is they're going to get pretty comfortable with it. But then I'm going to take them into the just listed, and then I'm going to take them into the, we have a buyer and the multiple offer and the open house script. And then by the time we get to the for sale by owner and then into the old and new expireds, by the time we get to the end of this, they're probably going to have completely forgotten about the past client center of influence. So what I realize is they've got to go through the program a second time. So really I'm asking for a 3-month commitment for me to transform a virtual assistant into probably one of the most profitable centers of a real estate agent's career. So I want 3 months, take them through it twice, so that I can feel confident that they have an absolute rock star prospector for as long as they have that virtual assistant.
So okay, so we now know 3 months, 2 hours, is it a day, a week? How long is the 2 hours?
It's 2 hours per day.
2 hours per day. That's crazy. For the people that are listening, what are you going to charge them? I can't imagine. I just,
really the fee that I've come up with, I think that makes the most sense to make it worth it really for me to put in that time, and is really $395 per month for the 3 months. So, at the end, they're going to spend right around, whatever that a little less than $1,200 to have a virtual assistant who is going to be producing extraordinary results for them. And the one thing too about that is the moment that they hire them and put them into this training program, Daniel, day number 1, we can pretty much have them prospecting immediately for them. So this isn't train them and have them not do anything for 3 months. This is they are being trained and they are prospecting for the agent immediately, right? And they can choose to, go to some old data, some old just listed or some old just sold or just some neighborhood calls. They can choose to just really go with the coldest of the cold, and that's perfectly okay, because I'm going to have them become proficient and have them generating leads and appointments with them right away. It's probably, in my opinion, one of the most exciting opportunities that I see out there for a real estate agent who really, who has the capacity to be able to take on, 5 to 10 more listings right now per month. If you have the capacity for more listings, then this is the slam dunk of the century.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm excited. So for the first 25 people that call in and set an appointment, and we're going to have that listed here on the screen, I'm going to go all in. I'm going to gamble with Patrick being a winner here and creating an amazing system. We're going to give you $200 off your setup fee. When you hire a virtual assistant from us, it typically is $495 for our setup fee. That's the cost of doing all that up front. But I'm so enthusiastic about what's going to happen here. I'm willing to, for the first 25, whack that setup fee by $200. And believe me, we spend every bit of that $500 to actually find people. If you think about, going back to that 4,000, we had 4,000 applicants last month, and we go through a 3-stage interview with 4,000 people. I mean, just think of the volume there. So, I have a lot of trust and faith in what you've put together, Patrick, and I'm excited to see results in a big way. So if you want to get started, when does this program launch? Like, when would we be able to get these people in and start coaching with you?
Well, they've got to take some massive action, right? Either they already have a virtual assistant, they want to get them trained, or if there's someone right now that needs to hire their virtual assistant, they need to get a massive action and get a hold of you guys and go through that process immediately. My ideal would be to start on October, I believe it's 17th was a Monday. So we're going to start on October 17th, and if they miss that date, then they'll just have to join us for the next round. Okay. So, take some massive action and, get a hold of Daniel or get a hold of myself, and we can get you guys connected either way, guys, and to really get this program up and running and to get you those results. I mean, imagine if we're really just helping you set another 5 to 10, listing appointments per month, or generating another 40 to 50 leads per month that are seller leads that we can slap into your marketing program, slap into your CRM, and just turn that into just an extraordinary business in the end. So it's super exciting.
What's funny is, as you're saying this, I'm realizing, gosh, Thanksgiving's right around the corner. Gosh, Christmas is right around the corner. How many agents would love to be able to call the last, 2,000 transactions that they had, call those clients up from their office and personally thank them for their past business, wish them a Merry Christmas, and see, is there anything we should be doing for you through this holiday or in the upcoming months? I mean, how powerful is that? I mean, yeah. I'm all about that.
It's
calling all my clients and saying Merry Christmas.
exactly. It's a slam dunk. So good. Thank you, Daniel, for your time, man. I'm super excited to see the results that we're going to produce with this first round of virtual assistants.
Perfect.